Hey, my name is Nico Craig. I am formerly known as Nhandi, and what you're about to watch in this episode is a little bit about me before I transitioned, and now I stand tall and proud as an openly queer transgender man. What prompted me to start my transition was when I experienced a tragic loss. I lost my uncle to COVID, unfortunately, back in March, and not having him be able to see me for the man I've always wanted to present myself as, it really inspired me to get out there and be in my own skin, finally. So at the time of this taping, I identified as an androgynous, cisgender woman who identified as a lesbian, and my androgyny is really what led me to understanding my masculinity and my transness. So now that I can claim my own power and my identity, it feels like I'm living a dream, and I just want to inspire everyone to do the same for themselves.
Shoot now, what that is, that's a house. That's a house. That's a house, that's a house, that's a house. Oh, shoot now, what that is. Oh, shoot now, what that is.
All right.
Hello.
Oh, my child.
There you go.
Oh,
what's happening?
Hey,
Y'all wait, see what I got for you today. Right now, I got some finger bites for you.
Okay. All right.
A little ham and cheese with some beer dipping sauce.
Good.
So, who's coming to dinner tonight?
Ooh, I have invited Nhandi Craig. She is a musical prodigy.
Wait, isn't she also the HRC youth ambassador?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
How old is she?
Smart.
She is 18.
18 years
Very,
old.
very confident, very sweet.
Looking forward to her.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
Our youngsters.
Young
Yeah.
black
Lots
leader.
to talk about with her. Lots to
Also
talk
identifies
about.
as a lesbian, so that is, yes.
Hey. Family.
Yes.
All right.
That is family. We take care of the youth here. Man, I wonder how the youth are dating these days, you know, with the COVID-19, man.
yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy, man. It reminds me of
about
back in the
that.
90s when we had the HIV and AIDS
yeah.
epidemic. Reminds me of that, man.
Well, I don't actually remember the AIDS epidemic. I'm maybe a little too young.
for that.
Trying to say I'm old?
Maybe. But one thing that happened to me recently, I actually had a grinder hookup, and the guy came in with a mask and gloves on.
You know what? Can I get my
Okay, that's what
Okay, because you know what?
fine.
Not before my dinner. Okay, you don't
That's
grind
a little
before
too much
dinner,
information
I'm sorry.
right there, bro.
You know what? I have a
you
whole
know air.
appetite.
I'm with
I'm not
you.
ready
You
for
know
that.
air.
Hear the story.
That's the new rule.
Thank you.
No grinder before dinner.
Thanks, baby.
Talk about that before my meal.
I know, y'all. Well,
You
tell
know
me.
air.
I wanted to hear the grinder story.
I won't tell you the end of it because it will ruin your meal. Trust me. But what is y'all dating life like?
Well, I'm married, so I'm not dating. But I can see the connection that Sean was talking about. You know, it must be complicated now with young people and COVID and the whole idea of wanting to be connected to someone and then it being dangerous. It really does harken back to HIV/AIDS days.
We can relate.
Which are still here. We talk about it like it's in the past.
That's
but,
right.
you know, it's manageable today.
But having a quarantine day is not, you know, unfamiliar for people. A lot of people still, even, you know, during the pandemic, were still trying to hook up and hooking up, even if they weren't self-quarantined with those people full time. So, you know, I mean, needs had to get met, I guess, and
I
you
like
know.
that quarantine bag. Quarantine. You got a quarantine bag? Yeah,
Oh, I
bag,
got a
quarantine
bunch
bag.
of quarantine
Oh, you
bags.
got well, that's not quarantine day. I think that goes out of the. How about you, Cheryl? You got a
Quarantine, oh my God.
All I gotta say is, I'm just being by myself.
Oh,
Being by myself.
Right, that's
Indeed.
right.
What are these youngsters gonna do? with this
They'll
whole
figure it out.
situation with COVID. I guess we survived, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's true. I mean, but it is a challenge because so much of a lot of how they communicate is through social media. So they still stay connected, you know,
true.
a lot through all of these apps and FaceTiming. So I mean, you know, a lot of that was going on too. So you can kind of get a little virtual action going. But you know,
True.
at some point, you know, how do you get beyond the virtual action to
Get that
some real
physical.
action?
I think to your point, it is like a part of their lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
I have an 18-year-old.
Okay.
And I'll go in his room and he has his phone there at the side of his bed. His girlfriend is on the video.
Okay.
They're watching movies. Like
Together.
that's kind of together. That's like kind of foreign to me, but it's like she'll
And
say
just the
hi.
thing, we got this youngster coming today. You
Netflix,
know,
I'm
and
sure.
her take, for sure.
But how are they going to get the needs, the physical needs met? You know, I had another grinder hookup recently. Actually, it was the last one I had because it was when I realized that all of these hookups that I've been having. I know I used to call myself a hoe, but I'm a reformed hoe now.
Okay.
But when
And you use protection.
I was
well,
a hoe.
well, wait a minute. Let me tell you. But on this
I
last
didn't hear a
one,
commitment to that.
what I realized is that what I really wanted was physical contact with another human being.
I see.
Okay.
And so we got, you know, in the bed and really
Good
just
point.
embraced each other.
You know
And
they have cuddle
that's all we
clubs?
did.
Have you heard of the cuddle clubs?
Have
I
not.
have.
They have cuddle clubs, and you can.
Yes.
The whole purpose is just to cuddle.
Okay.
Absolutely no sex.
Who's
it's
the
just
sponsor? Teddy Ruxpin?
Just Google cuddle club.
Do you think having a mask makes the cuddling like less enjoyable?
So
Maybe
wait.
they don't have 'em.
So was your grinder hookup with a mask?
Well, the last one, no.
Oh
No,
the
and-
last one wasn't.
Yeah, and that
But
was the
you
last
had-
time
you
I've done
had
anything.
a masked Avenger.
Well, once. That was right at the beginning of COVID. I was a skeptic. Like Cheryl is kind of still a skeptic.
But you didn't give up.
Well, the thing was when with the mask and gloves, I bet in the future.
And gloves.
I'm serious. I think that it's going to be normal. I think mask and glove hookups will be normal.
I think that's a good idea, actually. I mean, what kind of mask? When you said it made me think, originally I was thinking about the mask, people are wearing, but was this that kind of mask? Or
It
was this
was
more
the-
pleasure chest mask?
Oh, I wish.
Ah.
With a ball in the mouth and then
We always want to be clear,
And
you
then you put the
know?
other mask on top of that.
that kind of, okay, there we go. No, I've never experimented there, but
Far for you.
yeah, I mean, I think that would be, what do y'all
Each
think?
his
Do y'all
own.
think that it interferes with the intimacy of hooking up or connecting?
No, you tell me. How did that go?
Oh, the guy with the mask and gloves. Well, that was a low point in my life, to be honest.
Oh.
Okay.
Because when a person walks in to like be intimate with me and they're wearing a mask and gloves, and I somehow think that that's okay, and I was just like, okay, come on
But
in.
in COVID, wait a minute.
This is right at the beginning
Okay,
of
well,
COVID.
we were still
We were
wondering.
still like, no, this is not a real thing. This is not a real thing. I thought he was crazy.
Oh.
And I'm like, but I'm so
He got the
desperate.
He was
news before
pioneering.
you. What? He said you
I was
what?
so desperate. I was so
love your
lonely.
honesty.
It's
Wow.
the truth.
He had information.
Yes,
love
he
your
did.
honesty.
It's coming.
He did. So, Cheryl, you often talk about how this kind of COVID thing, and you kind of question it. I'd love for you to chime in on some of your thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
I do. I really do question it. And let me tell you what happened when it first started for me. And I knew Congress and Senate. I thought, well, my God, they're older than me. And they've been spitting and shaking, and I was like, oh my God, all of them are
Spitting
gonna
and
drop.
shaking.
So I waited 3 weeks. None of them left the earth, and I waited 4 weeks, and I thought, by that time the CDC list came out. And I was like, okay, masks, this is all fantastic. Awareness, right? 6 feet social distancing, and then wash my hands. I've never washed my hands so much. But then I thought, well, where is the main one? Whatever you do, build your immune system. When it wasn't there on that list, I thought, something up.
And
I'm stuck.
there's nothing wrong with building your immune system.
No, absolutely.
That's the only way.
But in lieu of wearing the mask and doing the things that they're asking us to do, I don't think you have to do one or the other. Do both.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely, not mutually
Did you hear me
exclusive.
say awareness is here now? Mm-hmm. That's what we have now. That's wonderful. But where is it on the list to build your immune system? If you're not doing that,
That's true. That is a very good point.
So that's
Yeah.
the message we have to make sure that we're sharing with the people we care about.
So I want to ask a question to everyone. Think back to when COVID first hit and the lockdowns first started. Did your quality of life go down after, in the lockdown, or did it go up, or did it stay the same?
My quality of life? No, my quality of life stayed the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it stayed the same. I stayed the same. I just got a bit more introspective about what I needed to do and how I needed to plan for later. So, but it's
That's good. It was awareness and gratitude.
I would say for me, and I'm glad you said that, because for me, COVID and the lockdown actually improved my quality of life tremendously.
In what
I
way?
was miserable right before COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely miserable.
Wow.
And what I realized was that the reason I was miserable was because of the way I was interacting with people that I didn't know. Out, when I go shopping, out on the transportation, just in general, it was just very negative interactions. And when the lockdown started and everyone was removed and it was just me, I got back into liking myself and appreciating myself and valuing what I do and getting into my passions.
You know, one of the things I observed with the whole mask thing that stood out to me is that for one of the first times, people are looking each other in the eyes. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have noticed that. And we are going to pick this up about masks and eyes.
Oh, yeah, you know that I was thinking that our mouths are covered, and this unintended consequence of that is we are forced now to look each other in the eye. And what I noticed with gay men and straight men, in particular black gay men and straight men, oftentimes they don't look each other in the eye. And so Chris and I have been chatting about that, and Chris shared something that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I was saying that there's the 2 Fs.
Fine and fabulous?
Not quite.
Not
But
quite.
close. Well, what happens is when people stare each other in the eyes, there's the idea that you're going to be uncomfortable after a while because you just want to look away. And it's actually a courtesy to look away. And when 2 men do it, the 2 Fs are you're either going to or fight. Because that intense stare for a long period of time creates this, like, it's either an intimate situation because you feel desire or attraction, or it becomes aggression. Because what happens is if you keep staring at me and then I, out of courtesy, look away, and then I look back and you're still staring at me, I now will recognize that as either interest or aggression.
Right.
Great
And
point.
so that now is, okay, so what's up? So it's either what's up or so what you looking at, you know? So, and that was when Antonio said, well, the 3rd F could end up being flight, because then you just move on and you move
So
out.
it's
Fight
or
flight.
Yeah.
There you go.
So and that what happens is, and we naturally will look away from people just out of comfort and courtesy because staring is impolite. So, and legitimately, that's what it becomes, is staring. So if it's not intimate or built on aggression, then because, again, if you're about to fight somebody, you need to see what's happening.
That's
You got to
right.
pay attention. And if you're interested, you want to keep looking.
I think I hear my guest actually coming in right now, so let me go check.
Okay.
Nhandi, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome to the house.
Well, thank you for having me.
Bam.
Air hugging.
This is Nhandi, everyone.
Hi,
Hey,
Nhandi.
Nhandi.
Welcome to the house.
Hello, beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful people.
Aren't you cute as a little button?
Yes.
I
Oh
get it
my
from my mama.
goodness. What'd you say?
I get that from my mama.
I bet she'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm a mama's girl.
So we were just talking about connection in the age of
Yeah.
COVID, and I
Yeah.
found a quote in an interview that you did,
Ooh.
and you said, my
what
passion
I said.
has affected my social life and the people who are in it in ways that are kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
Wow.
Can you elaborate on that? In what ways?
absolutely. Well, I mean, in my career, I'm a musician, I'm a DJ and producer. And a lot of times for me, I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it ever since I was 8 years old. And as my career has progressed and grown, 10 years later, I'm 18 now, and 18. And in that career, my whole lifespan, as I've been doing my career, I've been in school. So it's been hard, whether it's personal in school or even just with myself and my relationship with myself and my self-love and care, it's been affected from, having to sacrifice the typical childhood for performing on stage in front of like thousands of people. So, so it has affected my social life. It's affected how I connect with people. It's affected my expectations for when I meet people. Everything has been, it's kind of like a little domino effect for me. But yeah, that's very true.
What's your thoughts about how these events that happen that are socially impact how you get to be in the world?
I think a big pinnacle of impact has been like mental health, because mental health in this generation or with my age bracket, you see suicide rates have been the highest that they've been in history in this country, and we're the demographic for that. And especially LGBTQ plus teens. We have higher suicide rates, we have higher depression rates. Technology and social media, which is the way that we do connect, definitely affects our mental health in both good ways and bad ways. There's a lot of pros and cons to social media and how it's been introduced to us at such a young age, and technology and the evolution of it. The ways that people unfortunately have took advantage of it to spew hatred or to discriminate against, which goes back to my point of suicide rates and depression. And a lot of these kids, unfortunately, if they are depressed, and it's not because of what's happening in school, it's because of what's happening online. So then there's that aspect of it.
Is that what happened to you? Tell us a little bit.
I definitely have experienced a little bit. My identity, I've definitely questioned my own identity, not sexuality-wise, but just me as a person and my worth. I've questioned it because of what people have said. I remember when I was on America's Got Talent when I was 10, and
what did you do?
I DJ'd on America's Got Talent.
Okay.
I remember that episode.
Oh yeah, years ago. But I was but when I was on there, I'm very androgynous in the way I present. My gender expression is very androgynous. It's very masculine for me as a lesbian. And I've always been true to that.
Wow.
But even at it,
keep that thought. Keep that thought.
I was gonna say, because it smells great. I walked in and it smells great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You got pasta with basil cream sauce, and on top with black truffle salt and Parmesan cheese.
That must be the truffles. Let me put my glasses on so that I can see. Hold on now. No way.
No, but I remember or my America's Got Talent episodes, they've gotten hundreds of thousands of views. And I remember going through the comments, I'd see hate comments like dyke and faggot and just all these mean things or
so young.
Yeah, so young. And so with me, I was 10. So when I was seeing these things, and that's never and me being introduced to that hatred was online. It was not in person.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's the difference. I think that's the difference between, kids. Because I think a lot of what the older generation, your guys' experience is a lot more different than ours, in certain ways, to an extent.
It was. I was at my first, my first gay bar, and now I always tell everybody I used to be gay, I used to be straight. Now I just want to get into bed and go to sleep by 8, and I hope you never get there. I hope it never happens to you,
It's funny because when my mom talks about her past experiences, my mom's a gay woman as well.
Oh,
when she talks about her past experiences, she always says, well, back in my straight life, and I'm just looking at her like, yeah.
Hey, you know what I always say? Why must I claim a title, I might meet her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I might meet him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Never know, right?
I have a question.
But at 17, I went to my first gay bar, fell in love with it, met Yvonne, took her home and told my mother, look, this was my lover. That's kind of how it happened. Yeah. Grateful to be out of a closet, So we did operate differently. You talk about social media, it's like, wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
You mentioned you identified as a lesbian, and then you also used the word gay. Do you have a preference of either of those words?
It's interchangeable for me. I think, if I look at it literally, the word gay is an adjective, is used to describe. It's not, I can't walk in the room and say, hey, I identify as lesbian. I identify as a lesbian. A lesbian is when a woman loves another woman. Okay. But the word gay truly meant happy. Back before sexuality was associated with the word gay, that's the difference. So for me, it's interchangeable, but that's just what it's interchangeable for me.
I have another question. I looked at your interview, your speech at the HRC, and you began by saying your name. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Yep.
And I see that a lot now. It's very standard, but for us, we all know that is so foreign.
Yep.
We have never.
It mixes me up all the way.
And this is the conversation, and this is now another shift starter. Is that topic of pronouns? That's another shift starter because, I think, and this goes back to, and correct me if I'm wrong if I'm speaking about what gay people in the past have experienced compared to now, because obviously I'm not a part of that era, so correct me if I'm wrong.
That's why we're here, and we're happy you are.
But, if, as far as I'm concerned, it was either you're gay or you're straight or you're a man or you're a woman, and that's it.
That was a real problem, too.
So, but there was no gender fluid, or there was no non-binary, or there was no in between. There was no spectrum. It was either you're gay or you're straight, you're a man or you're a woman.
Could you imagine talking to me and telling me that? Where were you back then when I was 17, 18? Feel me?
Yeah.
And so now you all have that choice, am I right?
Well, yeah, we have not so much a choice, but an option.
You have language today.
We have language. We have an option to we have more of an option to express ourselves freely. It's just that's just what it is, because there might be some people and there might be some, you know, a lot of, when we look at the non-binary and transgender community, there's gender dysmorphia, which is the experience in which someone might not feel comfortable with the body that they're in, or they might feel like, you know, they might be biologically born a man, and on the inside, or emotionally, or even psychologically, they don't resonate with that.
Aaron say that.
Yeah, I identify as non-binary and specifically pangender.
Yeah,
What,
it's
what is the
expression.
nature?
That's what it is. That is what it is.
Let me put on my glasses. It's getting deep.
There
you all are.
The term that made me very curious. What is it? Gender dysmorphia?
Body dysmorphia.
Body and gender dysmorphia.
Okay.
Is the experience that typically transgender people or non-binary people experience, where that's the moment where they're like, this ain't it.
All right now.
That's pretty much what that is. And people, and it's crazy because it was classified as a disease
Disorder, baby.
or a disorder.
Yes.
The same way that being
the
gay
DSM.
was classified as a disorder
that's right,
and a
right.
disease. The American Psychological Association classified that as a problem. Like, that is a medical
Yes.
problem, and then there's conversion therapy.
I know that's mind blowing for you, isn't it? Can you believe something like
is.
that? You said this.
And now that's the brilliance of this community, is that there's always going to be this interlock.
Yeah.
Because back then, being gay was classified as a disorder. Now, being transgender and being non-binary is classified as, oh, well, that's too taboo and that's weird and I'm not comfortable with that. And like, straight people feel the need to assert the standard of comfortability for
Now
that.
you just said a powerful thing.
Yes, you did, but wait, before we go there, we're going to go to a break and come back. Pick it up then.
Oh, girl, don't
Awesome.
go nowhere. You stay right
Let's
here.
do it. I gotta eat. Yeah, I think gender dysmorphia, gender and body dysmorphia takes place when a transgender person or a non-binary, or really just anyone, because I don't think you, and then too, I think that's a stereotype too. Like, you don't have to be transgender, or you don't have to, be outside of the regular female and male category for you to experience gender or body dysmorphia, because everyone goes through it. When you're coming to terms with your body and your sexuality and your gender identity and expression, that's what it is. So there's just different extremes of it. Someone might feel more compelled to come to terms with their transgender identity if they feel as such.
Right.
With me, I know when I was really young, when I was like 5 and 6, typically the age where you reach like self-acknowledgement, self-awareness.
Yeah. Indeed.
I always ask myself, because even then I was really androgynous. I've always been an androgynous kid. I used to be 4 years old and played with Transformer action figures. So it made me question, especially then we get into gender roles. Am I a boy if I'm playing with boy toys, or how come I can't be a girl but play with boy toys? Like, why does that define, So there's all these different questions and all these different variations of extremes of gender dysmorphia or gender and body dysmorphia that takes place, and it happens with everyone. People just don't talk about it, and people only assume that it takes place in the LGBTQ+ community, when in fact it doesn't. It's just human. That's just what it is.
When I was coming out as a teen, I found that there were kind of circles within the community. So I hung out with mostly gay males, and I found that they were very disconnected. There were different clubs for lesbian women and gay males. Hung out in different circles, didn't communicate. In fact,
Two different planets.
Two different planets. And a lot of times I found that the gay males that I hung out with would make insulting remarks about lesbians. And, and I'm, to be honest, I'm a bit ashamed of that now. But, this is a time that I want to repair, and I want to know, do you see a rift between gay men and lesbian women?
It's unfortunate, but I do, because, especially white gay men, because white gay men, they can hide their sexuality to their pleasure if they want to, if they want to get a leg up in a certain area in their life. If they go in and apply for a job, they can easily mask their identity because they're a white man, and they can do that. They have that power to switch back and forth. When you see this, that's all you need to know. So that becomes the intersectionality of people in the Latinx gay community, people in the Black gay community, people in the Asian Pacific Islander gay community, people in the Indian gay. There's so many different layers of it, and I think for us to acknowledge the privilege that gay men still do have, we have to unpack all of that.
Yes.
And I think a part of that is fear, because you know, when you talk about people having more privilege, there's this association with fear that, oh, well, I don't want to have that label because that makes me look bad. But it's not bad. That's just what it is. And if we acknowledge it and we talk about ways that we can empower people who are marginalized or people who are disenfranchised in the gay community, or in the LGBTQ+ community, in the non-binary community, in whatever community, then that's all it takes.
Wow.
Simple.
What would you say is your greatest struggle? Just in general, you know, right now, like what is your greatest obstacle in life that you are struggling with?
I think my greatest obstacle that I'm struggling with right now is just honestly, it's dating.
Okay.
But I did hear that y'all were talking about, I was in the bathroom and I heard something about gloves and masks. I didn't know I did not know if you were talking about a surgical procedure or if you were talking about a different procedure. I didn't know.
It felt like a surgical procedure.
You are something else. That's Aaron's story right there.
But what is it about dating that you're facing today?
Oh,
what
man.
Is it about that?
You know what? It's like, for me, being like really masculine and androgynous, it's so hard for me. You know, here's a fun fact about me, because everyone assumes that I've dated so many people. Here's a fun fact.
Yeah, you look like it to me.
I've never dated a lesbian in my whole entire life.
Are you kidding?
Really?
Never. I've never dated a lesbian. People who are bisexual or straight people or straight girls. But it's like but then it's like
so you think it's because of how you present?
That is good.
I think it is about how I present, because I'm very androgynous, and so, you know, there's like, I was watching something on Snapchat one time, and I was watching something on the media, and there were these lesbians that were talking about dating, and you know, this very androgynous like stud, kind of like myself, was saying, you know, I always find myself in these predicaments with straight women, or very feminine presenting straight women, or very like straight appealing bisexual women.
Can we just clarify? Stud is like slang for a masculine lesbian woman.
Who is black.
Okay, thank
What?
you.
There's history.
I never knew that.
There's history, and I didn't know there was history either, but the term stud has been adopted or created by black lesbians in the women's liberation movement, in the gay liberation movement, and in the feminist movement.
Chris? Have you ever heard Antonio that?
No, you know what? I don't know that I knew that, but I've never known a white woman to call herself a stud.
Oh, I've seen plenty of them.
Oh, I was gonna say I do.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
I mean, yeah,
I have to check them every time, and it's the same thing for. It's just the same.
Why
thing.
do you have to check them?
I have to educate them.
But so they shouldn't call themselves a stud?
Because it's not for them.
Really?
No, it's equivalent to a white person saying the N-word. Now it might not be as extreme, because now that comes with a whole different level of pain. But
that's not.
They're not the same.
No.
But
to give us an example.
But it's insensitive.
Okay.
I mean, I think that we speak in a lot of generalities, and I think that we should be open to understanding why one might adopt that term.
Yeah.
You know, now I think we see in social media a lot this rush to cancel, this rush to claim appropriation, as if something belongs. Because it's interesting, because on one hand we talk about wanting to be a human family, and we talk about wanting to be accepted broadly, and then at the same time we talk about the boxes we want to preserve. And I'm not saying either is right or wrong, but I think that they all promote the opportunity for real conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's the benefit, because I've had white lesbian friends who I'm not going to scold them if they say something wrong. I'm not going to scold them. But at the same time, I'm going to say, maybe you might want to not say that, because, and here's why.
Appropriate term for them instead of stud.
Just lesbian.
The other terms that white lesbians particularly use, butch, dyke.
Oh yeah.
But
Interesting.
yeah, but stud it pertains to the identification of a lesbian, a black woman who's a lesbian who's very androgynous and masculine. So it's basically like the black version of dyke or butch.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's very, yeah, and I didn't know that there was history there because I thought that stud was just, oh, if you're masculine.
That's what I thought all my life.
I thought it's with a horse.
But it's very, yes.
Listen,
Well, you green horses, right?
Numbers, so okay.
You need a stud.
I was gonna say, you said problems with dating, and I always tell these youngsters, we came up on some music. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
baby, you know, you couldn't help but want to get in the bed, but this daggone rap that I'm so
in the bed.
this whole move, bitch, get out the way, B, get out the. I try not to curse them.
Unless you're making a point.
That's I'm making a point. So, you know, it's music affects the chakra in the brain. So
It does.
If
It
you're having a
does.
hard time dating, it might be because you youngsters are up against it.
Well, how
Yeah.
does this affect your music? How does it influence
Yeah.
your music?
Dating?
No. Just dating and everything. Your lifestyle, your choices, and your beliefs. How has that impacted your
I mean, well, let's just call a spade, right? Like I'm in the music industry now. The music industry, it's open to everyone. The entertainment industry is open to everyone. Although it is male dominated, it's very fluid and it's open to everyone. Now, the role that I have in the music industry as a DJ and a producer, those are male dominated. Oh. Hands down, those are male dominated. Cisgender, straight, very real, yeah, especially, and I'm in the hip hop genre. So it's very male dominated. And for me as a producer, being a female, being black, and then being as young as I am, and how long I've been doing this for at a young age, it has affected me in that aspect of my life because, you know, I'm a female, I'm a gay female who's androgynous, I'm biracial,
Girl, you got it
and
going
I got it all. I got a plethora of identities that are the complete opposite of the norm in the producer and DJ scene. There's not many.
Got it.
You couldn't walk up to someone and say, name 5 famous female DJs or name 5 famous female producers. You know, you go down producers, you go, okay, Missy Elliott.
True.
And okay.
That's who come to mind. That's right.
But that's it. That's
know.
That's it.
How has the plethora of identities helped you?
Oh, it's helped me, that's a really good question because it's helped me be more receptive of other people outside of my identity because I have so many identities. So, and that's just the intersectionality of it, is that for me, I want to hear someone's story who's Latino or Latina, or I want to hear someone's story who's non-binary, or I want to hear someone's story who's an immigrant or something. I want to hear all these other stories because at the end of the day, that's the thing about the LGBTQ community is we're everywhere. We're black, disabled, we're everywhere. So I think that's the brilliance of it, and it's allowed for me to sit down and listen. And that's what I like about having so many identities is that I can listen because I have more reason to. Because I check a lot of boxes.
I mean, did you grow up in a family of open?
Yeah, my mom is a lesbian.
I know. When did you find that out? When do you remember connecting those dots?
It's funny because ever since my mom's a single mom, right? So I never had.
Right.
And then my mom's a single mom, and my mom is use a sperm donor to have me. So I don't have a father figure. I have 2 godfathers who are gay. So I just got a lot of gayness in my circle. But I think, and then too, it's real happy. But I didn't even know what the word, it's funny because I knew what the word gay meant before I knew what the word straight meant. Because that is the environment I had, and that's the kind of nurturing and loving environment that I was exposed to, fortunately for me. But I know, and that brings me back to my point, that's why I like to listen, because I know a lot of gay people don't have that.
Yeah.
They can't say that they knew the word straight or gay before straight.
Right.
You know, they don't know.
Do you feel pressure because you are so well adjusted and you've had such an interesting experience and loving and supportive? Do you feel a great deal of pressure to model, to be a role model, and
That's a
particularly
great
with all the
I
intersectionality?
I do to a certain extent. I do feel that because I don't want people to think that they see me and then they go, oh, it stops there. No, it does not. I still have levels of privilege that other people don't have. Like yes, I'm black and I'm biracial, but at the end of the day, I'm light skinned. So there's colorism. Like so I know I have a certain. I still have it's a very thin layer, but it's still there.
Oh, it's real there.
It's real there. I don't have, and then too, again, I'm cisgender. I'm not transgender. I'm not a black transgender woman. I'm a black cisgender woman, and black trans women are the most marginalized and attacked and killed brutally in this country. They're the most targeted group in this country, and it's interesting because they're attacked and brutalized by everybody. It's not just white people.
No.
It's not just men.
No.
It's black men. It's gay men. It's everyone. They're targeted to
You know
an
what
extent.
I recently said? I said if it came down to within the black community, lots. I don't like to say all inclusive, but if it came down to telling a black person, okay, you either got to save the white man, or you got to save the black transgender. Many black people would save the white man.
Yes,
you know, that
I
it's just
totally
like
agree with
the
that.
lowest on the totem pole, and it's so sad.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's so
sad.
sad.
'Cause we're all so
on this note,
pleased.
on a sad note, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to pick ourselves up during the break. Come back on an upbeat note.
Man.
Baby.
He
Enjoy,
did
guys.
again.
What you have here is puff pastry with a strawberry whipped cream topped with confectioner sugar.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Looks good.
Hey,
goodness.
Sean.
Thank you.
Incredible.
See,
No coffee?
I might have to get back in the kitchen and get the recipes. I might have to spy on him and see what he's doing up in there.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you were saying earlier, you said you wanted to clarify some things about the dating, because I asked you what the biggest challenge is.
Yeah.
And you said there's more to that.
There is a lot more to it because you know, I have a career. I can't just date anyone, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? Like I can't just holler at everybody because I'm not up for grabs like that, and I don't want to be up for grabs like that. I don't want to be up for grabs like that. But for me to date someone who's like, I don't know, like someone who just got out of high school, like that's a little scary to me because I don't have that same. Because I'm not wired like them. Because of this career that I'm doing. That's why it's so hard for me to date. And hopefully, like when I travel and like when my career takes me places where I want to go and stuff like that, hopefully I'll be able to run into someone or anyone. I don't know, but I know for me, like
So you
dating.
like cougars?
No.
Oh, no, stay away.
No.
I'm telling you, suck your juices. Suck your juices.
I can see myself dating someone, like if I'm 18 now, I can see myself dating someone who's like 20.
Okay.
So a couple, just a couple years, because I still want to be able to relate to someone completely. And then another problem, or another concern, I should say, really, when I date, or if I date, because I've never had a girlfriend. Another thing, I've never dated a lesbian and I've never had a girlfriend.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you've been busy, babe. You gotta get
I
yourself
have been
on
busy,
time.
but I've tried to make myself available, but I stopped by this cafe like around the corner from my house, and I saw this really cute girl who was working in a cafe, and we kind of not clicked, but we there was something there, and so like, how old are you? She was like 20, and I was like, oh, okay. But
That's not tight.
see, I can't. But see, what do we? Like when I was in high school, I didn't have a lot of options in my high school. It's harder to date and be openly gay and have a partner and have that regular high school relationship or high school sweetheart. When you're gay, it's very hard. It's not easy. So
Well,
for me,
Aaron's figured it out.
really?
Figured out how to date?
Go.
Oh, please share with me the tips, because I'm lacking in a
Well,
lot of
I have a question. I have a question about
You don't
the.
take dating advice from me.
I have a question for you about the lady at the young lady at the
Yeah.
coffee shop. So you said that you felt a vibe.
Yeah, she was cute and
So did you make a connection with her?
I tried to, but there was a little bit of passive flirting going on. And so then when I slid in the DM, she was like, I should warn you, I'm still in love with my ex. And I was like, I appreciate you for telling me.
Oh, yeah.
But
You
see,
got
that's
it
the
like
thing.
that.
Like
It's
there's
not
that,
easy.
but that's that
And
communication
they'll flirt
that
with
young
you
people.
all the time because you're cute, and then they'll be like, you know.
And it was
Well, that
all in
was
the
good.
eyes,
It was
right?
all in the,
You can feel it.
yeah.
See, it was all in the eyes.
No, like we had an interaction at the cafe, and then we got each other's Instagrams, and then I hit her up and I was like, hey, we should like talk more. And she was like, well, she was like, yeah, that's great. But if it's that type of I want to get to know you more, then like I can't do that because I'm still caught up with my ex.
Is she straight?
No, she's pansexual.
Okay.
So when someone says, "Hey, I just want to tell you that I'm not in a relationship, but I might not be in a relationship with someone, but I still have feelings for someone." Kids don't do that.
No,
my age.
You have to respect that. I mean, that was,
And I do respect it
that was
because
awesome.
and COVID and being and having relationships in COVID has really made me it's made me realize like my expectations and what I want to date or who I want to date and like just the requirements that I have, because I remember I had to cut someone off during this pandemic. I realized I was like, I need to cut this person off, because if you're gonna treat me like this in a pandemic and things are all over the place, I mean, black people are dying in the streets and black trans women are and and I'm a part of this community, and you see that I'm going through some stuff, and you're just gonna sit here and throw some unnecessary drama at me over I guess a disagreement in our relationship, then I can't mess with you.
Everybody got to see a lot. Go ahead, Aaron, please.
I know there are some folks at home that heard a word that you said and they don't know what it means. Pansexual.
Yes.
Oh.
Bisexuality is when you're attracted to men and women.
Okay.
However, it might be 50-50,
That's
it
what
might
they
be
used to tell me I
90-10, it might
was.
be whatever, but you are bisexual. You are attracted to both men and women. When you're pansexual, you're attracted to people who are transgender, people who are non-binary, people who are genderqueer, people who are whatever. So it's much more not so much limiting just the gender. It's also
Someone's heart
also a
and soul.
preference in sexuality.
Someone's heart. What did I say? I went back to Aaron. Someone's heart and soul. You know, I'm finding out right now. I'm dealing with a situation. You can make love in the mind. I never have to even touch your body, and you can't stop me. And nobody can stop me. Whoever you with can't stop
That
me.
sounds predatory.
Feel me? It sounds what?
Predator.
It sounds. Would you say no? You can't do it in the mind, sure. That sounds like you're a
What is
predator.
this the problem when you say you can't stop me?
Can't nobody stop me.
So I gotta say, I'm making love to you in my mind. Huh? What'd you say? Sound like a predator, show me.
To ask you because I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm just enjoying this so much. And
Thank you.
Just because you seem so grounded with your career and your studies, and just curious about what love is going to be for you in the future. What was one of the greater influences for you? Because I'm wondering what your family life was about. How did you get so grounded like this? I mean, your mom
It's so
clearly
young.
has done a
That's
great
the
job.
truth.
So
An
in her
outstanding job.
single motherhood.
Whoever raised you, that's right.
So what about your family experience do you think has influenced kind of the woman that you've become?
I'm gonna say just my background as it generally is, like for the fact that my dad, I think one character, and I don't know if this, some people who have sperm donors as fathers believe that has nothing to do with them. I feel like that's a little false. Like my brother, like one of my brothers, like he's like, well, I don't really care about my dad, or I don't really care about our dad because like he ain't there, and I'm just like, okay, but like your family structure, your family structure has to do with the person that you are today. Like the fact that my mom was a single mom, lesbian, and had a sperm donor. Well, how many people can tell you that they've had sperm donors? Not a lot of people. So that puts you in a box, sort of, and that puts you in a box in how you, again, with self-awareness. Because I know that self-awareness when I was like, well, Mom, where's my dad? And I remember on Father's Day, like when I was in elementary school,
That's heavy.
I'd be like, we were doing Father's Day activities, decorate a little card. I'm like, well, who the hell am I gonna give it to? Because I don't. But and then too, I have like 16 siblings from my donor dad. So me having that family structure has also affected me and just how I look at life and how I look at the world, and also how I date, because I want to know if the person I date and fall in love with wants to have a sperm donor and it can handle it too.
That's right.
Nhandi, is there any final message you would say to the older generation who, speaking as a queer youth, because a lot of us don't have these kind of conversations. And so this is like a chance for you to say, this is what I would like to see in the world. This is what I would want from, you people who don't get to experience
No,
me.
we don't. Our generation doesn't have the privilege to have a
Exactly.
bridge. Yeah.
So can you give us?
Yeah, I'd say really to the older generation, if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be able to be running around here with gay flags in the streets. So,
Wow.
so for us, we have to acknowledge that. You know, we have to acknowledge everything that y'all have been through, because none of these conversations would be had at all. Allowed.
Out in the open.
They wouldn't be, no. So I think as a young generation, we have to acknowledge that. And then too, another thing that we have to do, and this is for both parties, this is for both the young generation and the newer generation, we have to stop going in with bias. Because older generations have bias about, you know, when people, like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people who are like my mom's age group, and I'm not saying my mom, because my mom's a very loving woman, she loves everybody, but like her age group per se, they're very like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that non-binary. I'm not gonna say he will call you they. I'm not gonna do that because I'm not comfortable with that. And I was like, well, excuse my French, but your comfortability. It's not about that.
Hello, I want to do backflips.
It's not about that. It's not about what you're comfortable with, because at a certain time, y'all weren't comfortable with gay people. So if you weren't comfortable with gay people and you like gay people, but you don't like anyone else outside of that, you can't pick and choose. So that's what I would say to the older generation. Just put down your bias and just listen and acknowledge that all of these things, they're not new. They've actually been in history in the world for decades and decades and decades. It's just now at the table because of what y'all been through has allowed for us to put it on the table.
And like Antonio said, you're attaching language now.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a question. It kind of is a piggyback off of Aaron's question, because I think that and I think that's a beautiful message of our being open.
Absolutely.
We also control a certain amount of power. And so I'd be interested to know how you'd like to see us using that power.
Excellent.
I'd say, well, it's always good to stay educated, because sure, you can have power. Anyone can be in a position of power, but they don't have to be educated to be in power. So you can have power and you can have privilege, but also in your privilege, use that to your advantage to be more educated and be more aware and to be more involved and ask questions. You know what I mean? And same thing with me. I'm gonna ask questions because I don't know. Like when we talk about COVID-19 and comparing that to AIDS and HIV. I don't know what that was like. I don't know what that was like to be able to run around. And then too, I'm sure, and I want to ask you guys a question, because I don't know, and particularly you, because you said that you've been in a lot of those environments where like a lot of stuff today is what you didn't have to deal with.
Right.
So what was that like when AIDS and HIV, you know, the difference between COVID is that everyone has to stay home. It's mandated that we have to stay home, and it's a national emergency. And AIDS and HIV was also a national emergency, but people weren't mandated to stay home. So what was that like? Because I can't imagine losing a partner to that.
As a woman, I gotta pass the baton, if you don't mind, and you weren't really around. So
I lived through it.
Please.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
married
What was
two
that like?
partners. Well, you know, it was a lot of death. It's just very interesting. I had never really equated COVID-19 to that period.
I wouldn't either.
It seems like such a distant past, but it was funerals weekly. It was friends here one day, gone the next month. I can't tell you how many friends that, you know, who came to LA for their dreams and all of those things. And and the time was very different around LGBTQ issues as well. So people were not as evolved, certainly, as yourself, and not as well balanced in their sexuality and their identity. And what I saw was a lot of people who came here to escape whatever small town they came from. But the sad part about it is, in their hearts, what they brought with them was a desire for acceptance. And toward the end, you could see that they would go back to those small towns looking for that acceptance.
Wow.
And I came to a point where I would say, you know what, don't go back home looking for something that you're not going to find, because you're going to end up dead. And I saw a lot of that. because they had hung their future and their dreams on being accepted.
Right.
And I'm so happy, you know, to sit here today and have you here, a young 18-year-old, being able to experience your life. And I was really, yeah, definitely. And I also want to say one last thing about that. I was very touched when you acknowledged what the older generation has gone through.
Yeah.
That was just very beautiful.
I agree.
But that's something that we need to do more of, because I think, you know, with younger people, you know, our minds are fresh and they're new, and we don't know, you know, we only talk about what we know about. And if we know that we don't know something, we like to assume that we know it, or we like to try to justify or defend ourselves for not knowing it. And I'm like, dude, like, just, you don't gotta do that. Like, just, again, like, as young people, like, young people have to put their biases down. Like, yes, not all people who are older than us freaking are, you know, are bigots and they don't listen. That's not all of everyone in the older generation, and I'm not one to stereotype. So, but it just takes conversation and open-mindedness, and that's literally all in conversations like these and gatherings like these in the gay community.
Talk
to me.
This is perfect because you are always welcome in our house.
Absolutely.
So that your conversation is always welcome here. Thank you so much
Thank you for
stopping
having me.
by.
And Aaron, you say the same thing. Tell her she
I
come
was just
on
going to
back.
say, now that you
Come on
have
back.
come to the house and had dinner with us, you are
Yes.
officially a part of our family.
Yes. Look at that. Yay.
Everybody.
Well, cheers to that.
Yes.
Cheers to
Cheers
that.
to that.
Cheers. Toast.